I hope sincerely that this message finds you well rested, or at least without any kind of uncomfortable feelings in the morning, such as, I don't know, headaches or, you know, whatever. But I just hope you slept well. Um, we're in a new week. I think we're in week 19? 19 out of 24. So we've got like 5 weeks left. Yeah, 5 weeks left until this kind of chunk of training's over. The the way I've done this for, I don't know, 10 years is I've ever so often, every 3 years I guess, I've done an art of peace practice. And an art of peace practice is a kind of focused practice around mindfulness that's guided by this guy Morihito Ueshiba, who's the founder of the martial art Aikido. And the basic idea behind this has been, one of the reasons why I wanted to be like a tough warrior, join the military, all this other kind of stuff, was because I thought that that would give me a clear edge in the challenges of life. And what I came to understand was that the edge was there in certain contexts, but in many contexts the edge was not there. Like I really was not very effective in a lot of ways at managing, conflict, managing frustration, managing addiction, managing, any of the kind of things that you kind of need to manage if you want to be a successful, successful warrior. Like my mindset has always been around this willingness to be kind of forward leaning and handle things and move into tough spaces. And I've just always been that way. And I found that my military training was exceptional in some ways, but lacking in others. And to complement that, I started studying the art of peace. And it's 114 stanzas, which kind of provides an outline for each day of training. So that's what I've been doing over the past 91 days, the 91st stanza of 91 weekdays. So that gives you a little bit of background of where the current content of study comes in. In terms of the actual practice itself, the practice is meant to give you a clear set of tools and practices for managing your mind, your body, your nervous system. And so it's not, so you manage those things. You manage your mind, you trust your body, you do the work with your nervous system. Those three parts are all meant to lead to the fourth part, which is the most important part. We call it the fourth bell. I'll have to redefine that too in a second. The fourth part, which is open-heartedness. So open-heartedness is a sign of all of the rest of your systems operating at a high level. And so that's ultimately what the goal is. The ultimate goal of the practice is to be the best version of yourself as often as possible, so that there's very little, there's over time, there's less and less time that you spend in anger or in rage or in frustration or in despair or in doubt, worry, or fear. And the more time you spend open-hearted. And that's the ultimate goal. Now the use case for the ultimate goal of being open-hearted is just a greater capacity to harmonize in your environment. And all that, of course, takes place within to begin. You can't harmonize your environment by getting other people to do stuff. It's not harmony. You harmonize your environment by harmonizing yourself and then bringing that harmony to whatever you're doing. So that's the kind of the broad strokes of, the Armor Down mindfulness practice. So let me go over the 4 parts again on the screen. The way I'm going to demarcate each part is through clacks. So first sound, bell 1, bell 2, bell 3, bell 4. Sorry about that. I don't have a nicer sound at the moment. You know, eventually I'll get one, but my I lost my bell during the honor quest. Go figure. Okay, so let's just write this out real quick. So 1, tame the mind. Tame the mind. 2, trust body. 3, do the work. And 4, open the heart. So what we're going to do is I'm going to guide you through each step and get out of the way so you can see that a little bit better. I'm going to guide you through and we'll do the practice. And then we'll talk a little bit about the 91st stanza of the Art of Peace, and then you'll get on to your day. Okay, so step 1, tame the mind. Okay, so that's the present moment, bringing your mind into the present moment. What you're going to hear when I guide you through it is me encouraging you to pay attention to your senses: sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. Okay, so that you'll hear. Then you start. Bell 2 is trusting the body. So the way you trust the body is to cultivate a relationship to the body. And the way you cultivate a relationship to the body in a seated practice is by interacting with your posture. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to call out each part of your body. I'm going to say, okay, now bring your attention to your ground. Bring your attention to your pelvis, your core, your heart space, your throat, top of the head, and your breathing. I'm going to guide you through that. Now, what shows up there is entirely unique to you as an individual. I'm just going to give you the broad spectrum of awareness. I'm going to say, hey, put your awareness here, put your awareness there. Okay? And so what you're doing when you're doing that is you're developing a dialogue between your body. And the dialogue is an internal dialogue. It's not a dialogue based on meeting a standard. It's not a dialogue based on meeting a look. It's a dialogue based on an interaction over time. So every time you interact with this space, ground, pelvis, core, heart, throat, top of the head, you develop the capacity to interact with the space. The goal is just to interact with the space. It's not to fix the space. It's not to make the space this or that. The goal is to interact with the space. And in seated meditation, what we're building, how we're interacting, is we're going to build a comfortable, aligned spine so you can sit. And the reason why you want to sit comfortably is because the third step, the third bell, the third clack, whatever you want to call it, is to do the work. And the work itself is the work of always coming back to the breath, coming back to the moment, coming back to the breath. And it takes work. It takes work to do. In the beginning, the mind runs off, you bring it back. 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 Now I'll support you and myself. I mean, I'm not doing this just for you. I'll support you by giving you tools. So today we're going to do 4-7-8. 4-7-8 breath is a really, really simple tool that does a couple things simultaneously. It helps you stay in the moment because you have to count. Okay, that's number 1. 2, it influences your perception of time. Okay, so when you do the work itself is the work inside the moment. And what happens when you do the work inside the moment is you can literally change the way you're perceiving something. You can change the way you perceive time. You can change the way you're perceiving whatever's going on inside of you. You can change the way your energy feels. You have all these capabilities here. And so you've got to just do the work. This is just the practice. You're just doing this, right? And there's no end to this. Okay? If you're thinking, "Oh, I'll do this and then I'll be squared away." That's not how it works. If you want to be good at navigating all the things that make you a human being, it's a lifetime of practice. So there's no goal to get to, like, "Oh, I've done this and now I'm that." No. If you're looking at this as, "Okay, I'm going to be serious about being the best version of myself as often as possible," then that's a lifetime goal. And because it's a lifetime goal, that means there's no getting anywhere. There's no, "I've got it, I figured it out." No. There's no getting anywhere. There's just the practice. And that's enough, right? The way I'm telling you, the stuff that happens when you become aware of what's going on and aware of what life kind of has inside of all these moments that you just weren't ever aware of, that's totally it's just awesome. And then the fourth part, and this is the part that has, real resonance in the realm of kind of your connection to other people. Open-heartedness. Okay. I say open-heartedness, and the warrior in me, the meathead in me is like, "That's weak, open-hearted." Well, the best version of yourself, the part of yourself that is full of radiance and love and kindness, and the part of yourself that other people who love you love, the part of yourself that you love to show off or to bring to a moment, the part of you that's connected to other people in a harmonious way, or originates in open-heartedness. Another way to think about this: your greatest power. Okay, your greatest power is open-heartedness. Open-heartedness is the kind of feeling that kind of can break through an argument, can calm a moment, can, help someone who's struggling, can cause harmony in an argument. That's where you're headed, right? So at the end of every training, towards when we get to the end, you'll hear it by the 4 clacks. That's when we know it's the focus on open-heartedness. And so today we'll focus on gratitude. It's the simplest way to kind of like cultivate this open-hearted feeling. So we'll focus on gratitude today. So that's the outline of how we're going to practice. It's the outline of how we always practice. It's the outline that I bring to every training, and it's the outline you can take to other things. So if you're going to do a different style of practice at some other time, follow these steps in and then do the practice. All right. So first things first, get yourself as comfortable as you can get. I'll do another, maybe tomorrow we can focus on the act of kind of getting into your seat the way you like it. But I've just got myself here. You can kind of see. That's what I look like. I sit on this cushion like this. Okay, the reason why I have this cushion is because if I move it, you see what happens to my hips and this part right here. If I move this cushion out of the way, my hips change. If I'm on the cushion, you see how it's flatter? Okay? That's comfort, right? So that's why I'm after comfort. And all right, so it's a couple things to point out here. The ground, when I say ground, it's what's beneath you. And then I'll come up to pelvis. Core space is here. Heart space. Throat space. And then the whole spine, right? So get yourself as comfortable as you can. And here comes first sound. Take in the room around you with your senses. Just notice the room. You can notice with your eyes, you can notice things like light and shadow, straight lines, corners. Once you've kind of studied the room for little characteristics that you can see with your eyes, and everything is kind of settled and predictable, close your eyes. If you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes, just cast them down, but take your eyes kind of out of the work. Going to let them settle. You can even notice in the last moments of putting attention on your eyes, how even with your eyes closed, you can still notice some light and shadow elements. Then move into sense of sound. With your eyes closed and your focus on your sense of sound, what do you hear? Where do you hear what you hear? So for me, I've got a fan to my left. So if I was the center of a clock, it'd be at my 6 o'clock. And I really don't have any other sounds. You know, I'll hear a little sound of the house, but mostly it's quiet. Notice that. You know, notice whatever's there. Then after going through sight and sound, let's go into touch. So both sight and sound give you distance awareness. Touch is also some distance awareness, but less so. So for example, if you feel a breeze, like I feel the heat of the heater, little space heater, I feel that coming on my left side. I notice the temperature difference between the skin on my left arm and the skin on my right. So I'm aware of that. Now from kind of distance, we get closer in. So now go to smell. All right, you can smell still a little bit, use a little bit of distance. You can smell something at a distance, but mostly what you're smelling is kind of close to you. So just take a couple slow inhales and see if you can pick out any smells. Typically what happens when you start to pay attention and start to become present, things that you didn't notice start to become noticeable. Now, the last place we'll pay attention to is taste. Typically in the morning, there's not a whole lot of taste to be aware of, but it's still important to practice taste because when you eat, eating is often an opportunity to kind of zone out, do something else while eating. But if you can pay attention to your taste, the experience in your mouth, you can bring this practice to even eating. So it's always important to get a little bit of attention on taste. Just feel the mouth for how it feels, the moisture, if there's any taste in it at all. And if there's no taste, just notice that. Notice the emptiness of the experience of taste. So move on. So now from here, we'll go into the body. So the trust building with the body is dialogue. It's participation and it's engagement. And so you build trust in the body by studying it and interacting with it. So the body's always talking. It's talking through sensation or absence of sensation. And so by understanding how your body talks, how your body communicates with you, you build trust. So First thing you do when you get to the body is notice your ground. So that's noticing what's beneath you. For me, it's the meditation cushion, but it's also the outsides of my legs. And when I'm in crisscross applesauce, it's how my feet are touching the ground. And then from there, I move into the base of the spine at the pelvis. So your spine's the information superhighway. It's offering your kind of awareness, its best kind of the best structure to follow. So the base of your spine is at your pelvis. And so when you get to the base of your spine, you can kind of notice it by maybe moving or adjusting, noticing where your body weight sits. There may be a feeling to move even more. So for example, if you're sitting in crisscross applesauce and it feels terrible and you're like, this sucks, I don't want to sit this way anymore, you can absolutely move. This is the kind of trusting your body, connecting to your body part I'm talking about. So say you're sitting in crisscross applesauce and you just hate it. So what if you want? So what if your body's saying you hate it? Well, what if you just said, all right, hold on, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to move. And you do kneeling. So you get onto your knees. Maybe you like that better. If you don't, you can switch something else. Maybe a chair is even the better way to go. It's entirely your call. There's no kind of, oh, it's got to be this way. Nah, it doesn't matter. So if you want to move, you're feeling that there, do so. Okay, you've established your ground, established pelvis. Now, coming up to core. So the core space is the area above the pelvis, but below the torso. And here, just notice the way the belly region, the belly button region, can be either taut and kind of sucked in or flexed in any way, or it can just be kind of let to kind of be calm and loose without effort. And I know for me, I have to check this region because it's often clenched or contracted in some form or fashion. And so I've just got to kind of remind myself to go there and let it go there, let it go. Now, once you've let go at the core, you move into the heart space. So the heart space is the region above the core, but it's not just the heart itself. So if you picture where your heart is, kind of along your spine, it's just off to the left of your spine. You know, you've got your heart right there. Then surrounding your heart are your lungs, and surrounding your lungs are your ribs. And then on your ribs are your collarbones and shoulder blades. So when you get to the heart space, just move around in the collarbones and the shoulder blades. Move them around a little bit. Just get a feel for where they are on your body. You know, if your shoulders are lifted a little bit, see if you can drop them down, pull them back. Again, you're just interacting with these spaces, okay? From here, let's go to the throat space. Throat space is above the collarbones and the jaw down. So jaw and below, collarbones and up. And so you just want to think about your throat space as this kind of space in the middle, right? You've got the outsides, you've got the insides, and now take the time to kind of feel a little bit more what's going on at the throat. You can do that by taking a swallow. So if you swallow, you'll notice sensation, and then you'll notice that sensation disappear. Okay, it's pretty quick. It doesn't last very long. It lasts just a moment. But the swallow is a good indicator of how much you can be aware of what's going on and how often you're not aware of what's going on. Now, the next little kind of awareness practice to engage in is the notice of subtlety. And the notice of subtlety is a practice. Again, it's something that you get good at over time. And then as you get good at it, you realize, oh, geez, there's so much I'm just not aware of. I can work on this for the rest of my life and still not be aware of everything that's going on. And that's a good thing. So try this. Try slowing your awareness down, slowing down your breathing, and seeing if you can feel as you breathe in and as you breathe out the sensation of air moving in your throat. Just see if you can feel that. It's small. It's not a big feeling, but it's there. So just look for it. Now we'll move on again, and we'll get to the top of the head. The top of the head is the top of the spine. So if you imagine getting taller by the center of the top of your head by 1 millimeter, you'll notice the spine move just a little bit up. Feel that. And once you get that little bit up, you should focus on your face. So while the spine is kind of the organizing structure of the body, the organizing structure of the nervous system, which is where we're going next, is your vagus nerve. Okay? It's called the wandering nerve. It's this massive nerve that just has such a massive impact on everything. And one of the things that it has is a connection to your face. So how you're holding your face, how your facial muscles are engaged, if you're frowning, if you're scowling, if you're whatever, that has an impact on the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve moves throughout your face, so your facial expressions actually influence how your body is engaged and how you feel. So when you get to the top of the head, top of the spine, you got that nice aligned spine, but you want a really kind of soft face. So you don't want anything going on in your face. So soften your eyebrows, soften the muscles behind your eyes, soften your cheeks, your mouth, your chin. Let the face be totally relaxed. So you've got a tall, alert spine and a totally relaxed face. So what you're looking for by the time we get to bell 3, by the time it's time to do the work, by the time we get to bell 3, you've created an alert and relaxed alignment. Okay? So now we're going to move into bell 3, sound 3, whatever you want to call it. It's a very sharp sound. It's not like the bell. Oh, I missed my bell. Okay. So first things first, just notice your breath as it is. Next, max it out. So notice your breath as big as you can possibly make it. Just notice how you can do that. Just a breath that doesn't have you dictating its size or anything. It's just your body breathing. Then you, the moment you decide, make a full, big inhale. Now, I want you to count in your head your inhale, how long it takes to get to a big inhale. Count to it in kind of 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. You got to do it in your head, okay? So you can't do it out loud. You got to do it in your head. And I want you to count how long it takes you to get all the way up to the top on a full maxed out inhale. And let that go. Now, however many seconds it took you to get to the top, I want you to work your breath out. So you kind of make your breath match your counting. So I want to make your inhale, the max inhale, 4 seconds long. So when you breathe in, count to 4, but by the time you get to 4, get all the way to the top. Okay? And then just let that go. Okay, now this time I want you to count 4 seconds to the top, but when you get to the top, I want you're going to hold your breath. Another way to say it is you're going to do a breath retention. So you're going to hold your breath still at the top So it's like holding your breath, like you're about to jump in the water. You're going to hold your breath still for 7 seconds. Okay. So you're going to inhale for 4 seconds, get to the top, restart the count, for 7 seconds. Okay. So go ahead and begin. 4, 7. And then let that go. Okay. Let normal breath be there. Just just take account of the fact that you can influence your breathing. You can influence what you're thinking about while you're breathing. The counting, okay? Notice how when you count, it's hard for your brain, it's hard for your mind, it's hard for your thoughts to go other places than what you're doing. So, this act of putting language into the moment in your head is a very effective tool. Okay, so I'm going to bring that up later on in the week as a way of interacting and doing the work. Giving your thoughts something to do is a very effective way of keeping them on the moment as opposed to somewhere else, right? So now the last piece, so you have 4 seconds up, 7 seconds at the top, is 8 seconds down, okay? So this means you're going to have to intentionally slow your exhale way down, okay? So your inhale's 4, your hold at the top is 7, your exhale is 8, okay? So when you're ready, take your 4, 7, 8 breath. So inhale 4 seconds, hold for 7 seconds, exhale for 8. All right, I'll guide you through one more time, and then you got to do the work on your own. 4 in, 7 hold, 8 out. 3 rounds on your own. Once you're done, just sit for a second and just notice what it's like to be aware of what's going on inside yourself. So, what happens after you do the work is you experience the way the work itself influences the experience of yourself, the experience of your mind, the experience of your body, the experience of your emotions. All these things are what you become more and more aware of. But always know this: interacting with what's inside of you, being able to influence it, etc., is only part of the goal. Okay, it's great to be able to do it. It's great to be able to create relaxation. It's great to be able to create more calmness, focus, but none of it matters without the open heartedness stuff. The open hearted practice is the outreach. So the goodwill that you cultivate inside is only as good as its ability to be shared and harmonized with others. So that's where love comes in. So here comes the fourth part, fourth bell, fourth clack. Ugh, I need my bell back. So now get to gratitude. When you think about gratitude, does something pop to mind right away? Or if you're kind of at a loss, get real local, right? So, a comfortable pair of pants, right? Simple stuff. A reliable pocket knife, a loyal, wonderful dog, a roof over your head. So these are the kinds of things that you want to get real local with it. Gratitude, just like anything else, is something that you cultivate. It's something that you practice doing. And this is where you've got some really interesting biological phenomena to support. You've got something called neuroplasticity. So basically what that means is that whatever you do on a regular basis, your brain will actually change itself to make whatever you're doing easier to do. So if you find yourself in gratitude and be like, I don't really know of anything to be grateful for, get to the local, get real simple. And then as you do that on a regular basis, you'll realize that what you're grateful for will start showing up a little bit easier, a little bit more quickly. That's the first way to open your heart. So just start with some gratitude. Just you can say it to yourself, you can say it inside your head, you can say it out loud. Just find a couple things today that you're really grateful for, that make you feel kind of optimistic or hopeful or bring something special to your life. Cultivate that for a moment more. And then when you're ready, the key is to be intentional about finishing. So be intentional about finishing the same way we've been intentional the whole time. So when you're ready, take 2 more rounds of full inhale and exhale. And on the second exhale, the practice finishes. So that is a full armor down mindfulness practice. What you just did is tame the mind, trust the body, do the work, open the heart. That's full practice. Okay. So what's that? That's been about 40 minutes. Well, that's a whole lot of explanation. The actual practice itself is only about 20 minutes, I'd say. But that's a perfect practice. It's a perfect practice. That practice right there will set you up for anything else you want to do. Okay. So thank you for being a part of that. Now, let me put out my art of peace work here, because this is where we are. This is where we're at. And as as members of kind of the warrior mindset, some of you are veterans, some of you are not, some of you are just people that want to bring the best version of yourselves to society. Well, here we are in the kind of middle. We're in the liminal space between these kind of two worlds. The end of the Trump kind of world, the beginning of the Biden world in the political realm, et cetera, et cetera. And there's still a lot of conflict, okay? And in America, what we figured out is how to have these kind of conflicts without too much war. Now, we've had a fair amount of war, but we've done okay, okay? Now, what we have right now is a lot of interaction with each other. We have a lot of interaction in the digital space, et cetera, et cetera. Well, one of the things that you can do to bring armor down with you when you interact with other people, especially in the digital world, is you can think about these practices as a way to solve problems before they start. And that's what this stanza, and that's what kind of this week is all about in the practice of the art of peace. So I'll read you this stanza, and if you have any questions about it or want to talk about it further, let me know. This is what I want to leave as my mark on society, like at large. My goal is to influence the world around these practices implicit to the art of peace and in mindfulness itself. So feel free to kind of jet if you need to. I'm going to finish up here. I mean, we've been at this for a while, so I just want to read this, and then we'll be done. So the real art of peace is not significant. Is not sacrifice. The real art of peace is not to sacrifice a single one of your warriors to defeat the enemy. So what that means in the context of the digital world and the modern world is you don't want to sacrifice any aspect of your goodwill to defeat the enemy. So if you have to become the enemy, if you have to become an awful person, if you have to say terrible things to win, that's not what you want. You vanquish your foes by keeping yourself in a safe and unassailable position and then no one will suffer any losses. So if you can go into a combat environment, and I'm not talking physical combat. Well, this is talking about physical combat. I'm talking about more digital combat. If you can go into a conversation and not cause anyone to suffer, and just be a part of the conversation, have a conversation without causing any more anger, that's what you want. I mean, that's the goal. Remember, the goal is dialogue. It's not to win. The goal is to just keep talking. The way of the warrior, the art of politics, is to stop trouble before it starts. Okay, the way you stop trouble before it starts is by talking. You dialogue. And it doesn't matter what the dialogue is as much as it is the dialogue itself. It consists of defeating your adversaries spiritually by making them realize the folly of their actions. Now, I know some people don't like that word spiritually, but if you defeat your adversaries at their heart, at the level of their heart, it's what we tried to do in Iraq and win the hearts and minds, right? We didn't say win the spirit of the Iraqi people because there's a religious connotation, so that's why I know some people don't like that word, but it consists in defeating your adversaries by getting to their heart. If you can get to their heart, the same way we teach veterans mindfulness, we get to the heart of the matter. Honoring the fallen, that gets to their heart. Firearms gets to their heart. So you need to get to the heart. And then ultimately, and this is the title of today, the way of the warrior is to establish harmony. Okay? Now you can't, of course, establish harmony anywhere other than yourself first. So you'll never establish harmony somewhere else until you establish it on the inside first. So I hope you had a nice morning. I hope this was helpful for you. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I love to talk about this stuff, and I talked your ear off for 40 minutes. So if you have any questions, comments, let me know. And we'll be back at it tomorrow. So later, Armor Down.